solitude have to do with leadership? Solitude means being alone, and leadership necessitates the presence of other people you're leading. When we think about leadership in American history, we are likely to think of Washington at the head of an army, or Lincoln at the head of the nation, or King at the head of a movement people with multiples behind them looking for direction. And when we think of solitude, we are apt to think of the raw man alone in the woods, keeping a journal and communing with nature in silence. Leadership is what you are here to lender the qualities of character and mandate while makes you fight to command a platoon, and beyond that perhaps accompany a battalion or a military corporation, foundation, a department of government. Solitude is what you have the last of her, especially as plebis. You don't even have the privacy, the opportunity simply to be physically alone, never mind solitude, the ability to be alone with your thoughts. I submit to you that solitude is one of the most important necessities of the true leadership. This lecture will be an attempt to explain why we need to begin by talking about what leadership really means. I used to spend 10 years stationed at another institution that like West Point, like to about a lot of leadership, Yale University of a school that some of you might have you come here. That you may be friends. I'm going to know that at Yale and Harvard, Stanford, MIT, and these institutions like West Point, I see their role as in training of leaders constantly in college. Their students like West Point to regard themselves as leaders amongst their peers. Their peers, the leaders. Indeed, we look around of the American elite, the people in church, government, business, academy, and other major institutions, senators, judges, CEOs, college presidents, and therefore we find that they come over English either for the Ivy League and its parent institution for the service academies, especially West Point. So I began to wonder, I said, what leadership really consists of. My students like you were energetic, were accomplished, that smart, and often ferociously ambitious. But that was now to make them leaders. Most of them, as much as I liked, I didn't even confirm them. Certainly, they don't seem to me like leaders. Thus, being a leader, I wonder, just mean being accomplished, being successful. Those getting strength as make you a leader. I think so. The real surgeons or grad novelists or grad shortstops may be terrific at what they do with the leaders. Leadership and leadership and achievements leadership and even excellence have to be different things. Otherwise, the concept of leadership has no meaning, and it seemed to me that had to be especially true of the kind of excellence and in the students around me. Since things have changed since I went to college in the 80s, everything has got much more intense. You have to do much more now to get into a stop style point west. You have to start later. We didn't think about college until we were juniors and we maybe in chill, couple of extracurriculars. I don't know how you guys know now. It's an endless series of hoops you have to jump through, starting for way back. Maybe as early as junior high school, plays, standard races, texts, extracurriculars in school, extracurriculars outside of school, test prep course, administration coach, private tutors. I sat in the Yale College Admissions Committee of couple of years ago. The first things of admissions officers will do are presenting case to the rest of committee was read what they call the brag. In admissions lingo, the list of the students' extracurriculars, police turning out that a student could have 7 extracurriculars were already into trouble because the students who got, in addition to perfect grades and top scores, usually had the 10 or 12 as around me were in the train world-class hop jumpers. Any goal you see them, they could achieve. Any twist you gave them, they could pass with flying colors. They were just one of the points of her self-excellency. I had no doubt will continue to jump through hoops and tests and go on to Harvard Business School or Michigan Law School or Johns Hopkins Medical School or Goldman Sachs or McKinsey Consulting or whatever. And this approach will take a dreamer in life fight well at the 25 partner on White Case or an attending finance at Mace General or an assistant secretary in the Department of State. That's exactly what a place like Yale mean when they talk about training leaders. Education people always make a big name for themselves in the world, people in principal titles, people in the university cry and brag about, people who make it to the top, people who can climb to grace to follow they decide to adjust themselves to. I don't deserve it. To explain why I want to spend the 5 minutes talking about a novel that many of you may have read, Heart of Darkness. If you haven't read it, you're probably seeing Apocalypse Now, which is based in it. Marlon in the Marvel become Captain Wheeler, played by Martin Shears. Course in the novel becomes Colonel Kurtz, played by Marlon Brando. But the novel it's about Vietnam. It's about colonialism in the Belgian Congo 3 generation before Vietnam. Marlowe, not a military officer, but not a merchant marine, a civilian ship's captain. And this is company, it has the running country on their charter for the Belgian. Current to sail, deep on a rubber, on the retrieving a manager who is constant in the jungle on roads yell like Colonel Kurtz. This in the everyone knows the novel about imperialism and colonialism and race relations and the lies the human heart, but it became clear to me as a serious point and now well it's quite crazy. A minute ago, see, the company, after all, it's just a company with rules and procedures and ranks and people in power and people scrambling for power. Just like any other bureaucracy, a big law firm or department or for matter or a university, just like a hers. When I'm telling you all this is a bureaucracy. You are about to join. The word bureaucracy tends to have two negative connotations. I would say with a criticism, early description that what the U.S. Army is a bureaucracy, and was larger, most and famously bureaucracy is in the war. Overall, this is the army got among thunder or other things, and currently was snafu situation normal. All fuck it up, snafu. Order enough, clean up. That comes from U.S. Army in World War II. You need to know when you get your commission. You'll be joining a bureaucracy, and Howard Jones, you stay in the army. You'll be operating with a bureaucracy as different as the armed forces, and in so many ways. So, and society, the respect is the same, and you need to know how bureaucracy operates. What kind of behavior, what kind of the character they reward, and what kind of they so punish. Back to the novel, Marlowe proceeds up river by the stage just like Captain Wilders in the movie. First he gets to the other station, Curtis is a inner station, in between is the central station, where Marlowe spends the most time and where to get out the best logo bureaucracy in action at the kind of people with success in this. In this is Marlowe's description of the manager of the central station. The big boss, he was commonplace in complexion, in features, in manners, and in voice. He was a middle-sized and ordinary bull. His eyes of the usual blue were perhaps macabrely cold, otherwise there was only an indefinable faint expression of his lips, something stealthy and a smile. Not a smile, I remember it, but I can explain. Yes, come straight from this job and playing in these parts, nothing more. He was obedient, yet his spirit needed love for fear, nor even disrespect. His spirit uneasiness, there was uneasiness, not a definite mistrust, just uneasiness, nothing more. You have no idea how effective such a faculty can be. Have a genius organism for initiative or the even he had learning and intelligence. This position had to win. Why they heard nothing could keep the routine going, but it was great. He was great by the little thing that it was impossible to tell what cold contrast should make. It never gave the secret away. Perhaps there was nothing within him. Suspicious methods on one pause, not the adjectives commonplace, ordinary, usual, or common. There's this thing is about this person, about the title. It's read passage. I realized I was a perfect description of the kind of person which tends to prosper in the bureaucratic environment. And the only reason I wanted difficulty in instruct me was a perfect description of the head of the bureaucracy. That was a part of chairman of my academy department who had the same line like jargon, the same about it to make you easy. Like you were doing something wrong, Only she was ever going to tell you what, like the manager, and I'm sorry to say this, but like so many people you will meet, I'll just negotiate the bureaucracy of the army of the matter of whatever institution. You end up giving your talents to after the army, whether it's Microsoft or the World Bank or whatever. The head of my department has no genius for organizing or initiating or even partner, no particular learning or intelligence, no distinguished characteristics. And I see the ability to keep the routine going, and beyond that, as Marlon says, her position had come to her. Why? Because the instruction, or I want to explain this instruction in not top speed. I don't have top speed to explain or speak. I want to speak only in English because it's my way to explain. In other language, obviously en el idioma requerido, depende porque también el idioma latino es necesario, pero hablamos de habla hispana, pero mejor hablemos el idioma de Latinoamérica, que es el latino, así de sencillo.